So you can see where this bass can even make into the final mix. But honestly, I think it looks cool as like an intro sound. So check this out. Here's the pitch. What's up, guys? It's Signal. I'm giving myself like 20 minutes to get this information in. So the idea I essentially had was to take individual bass samples. I believe I'm in like D sharp. And there's a bunch of processing on each sample, different processing. And the processing consists of LFOs that trigger smaller variations over time. So watch the playhead on this sample. Right, I think this variation just comes from a filter and some resonance. It is lots of processing right here. See how this filter is slow moving? So over time, as I hit the sample, we should get more sound. So there's lots of that going on. This sample comes from a friend of mine. He makes bass music under the name Grimson. You should definitely check his stuff out. I'll post a link in the description. Bass is laid out. I put in what I believe are quarter note MIDI notes. Here we go. Each MIDI note is a quarter note. I did what I showed you guys in the breakbeat video, where I simply told each MIDI clip to trigger a random MIDI clip after it's done playing. And I listened to those clips in quarter note increments as they played randomly, and I said, okay, this would sound better as a 16th note, this would sound better as an 8th note, and then I kind of like etched the rhythm through like that, and then I kept letting it play randomly. So this is what it sounds like. If we add a drum, so I recorded that. Here's some of the leftover results over here that I could actually pull from later. And I made like a little motif, and then I chopped up like 16 bars. So with the drums, some high-end resampling, and I added some filler vocal shots. Yeah, the vocal fills are stupid, but you can see what's happening. Now this is very important for bass music. No drums. Sounds kind of dumb. Add drums. So don't doubt yourself until you play what you're doing against drums, especially with something like this, because there's so many opportunities for good and bad. You have to be able to go, that's good, that's bad. Okay, so I'm going to tell you what I had in my head while selecting these bass samples to make sure it came out like this. And the answer, like most people will tell you, is Mr. Bill. I remember this Mr. Bill video that I can't find, so if you know what it is, send it to me. He wrote a bass line like on a MIDI clip, and then he put on like Serum, and he let the bass line play, and he recorded it on an audio track, but at certain intervals, like wherever he was jiving, like at like quarter notes or eighth notes, he changed the preset on the synth, and it just like be a completely different bass sound, but it'd be cohesive to the bass line that he was playing. And then he'd do that like 3 or 4 times and chop it up, put in the fades, and he'd have a crazy glitch hop bass line. And in my head, that's what I had was a crazy glitch hop bass line, which is kind of like low, low, high, low. We're up here, now we're down here, now we're up here, now we're down here. And that's how you can make sure those eighth notes and 16th notes come with some excitement without just having like sub, 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 which is great, but it's a little more rhythmic than it is melodic, which is what this is. And as you can see, this bass didn't even make it. That wasn't a conscious decision. Like I just chose a rhythm I liked and then I made a line off of it. And this bass just didn't make it in. And as I was going through this, every once in a while I would go, oh, this bass needs a little bit of this. This bass needs a little bit of this. Oh, I completely hate the sound. I'm going to fuck it up. And you just let it happen. I mean, I think there's like 5 OTTs on this thing. Where is it? Yeah, 1, 2, 3, distortion, 2 filters, probably notch. That's a low pass. That's a band pass. Cool. You know, a lot of these basses did sound like shit and still do sound like shit, but they work together, which is what music teaches you is by the end of the day, there is no shit. It's only what you feel. Oh, you can also see I'm choking these shots. See how it turns red? So I can't hold this bass note down and trigger that. It chokes. The choking is essential. Like, because this bass line here sounded bad, I was like, what if I just keep processing it? Okay, here's the most important part. How can we get more music from these 16 bars? How can we get another 16 bars? I have 2 ideas. The first is to come over here. Now, if we go into these MIDI notes, and instead of going to play random, we go to play random in block, and we set all of that to play random in block, we can now formulate multiple bass lines inside one track. And all you need to do is know what a block is. So if I copy all these MIDI notes, skip a line, I'm skipping scene 7, I'm pasting that in. So here's a block, skip a line, here's a block. If I have them all in play random, it should not recognize anything going on here. But because this is a block, it would just chunk it for me. So I've duplicated this bass line. All I need to do is add one more bass note and play this chunk instead of this chunk, right? Like if I have a 1 or 2 new sounds, I can let it just play with those new sounds. Like I'll have a whole new section with 2 new bass sounds, but some of the old bass sounds from in here. So all I have to do is add one more bass note here, right? So like F sharp, come over here. I I believe it's F sharp 1. So I have the MIDI note, which is my trigger, which corresponds to this pad on the drum machine, which would have a sample in it. This sample would be represented in scene 8 through 14, but not scene 1 through 6. But all the same bass notes are still in scene 8 through 14. That being said, when you, like, I processed 6 bass sounds continuously, and like, you can see where I was just like, fuck it, 3 distortions, I'll put OTT in the middle of this other distortion. Like, this is really random. Like, I was, at some point, you're just like, oh my God. So maybe you don't want to make another bass sound. That's where the choking comes into play. So I have my MIDI keyboard over here. And let's turn this up. I like this up there. Yeah. All right. So I'm going to improv over the 16 bars, and the choke will turn off what's playing through the sequencer, and my MIDI controller will override it. So check this out. Okay, this is actually my first time doing this. I don't want to record over the original drum line, so maybe there's a better way to do this, but for right now, I'm just going to have like a, it's like a slave, it's like a root. It's a dummy track that you can destroy pretty much. So I'll rename this drum, you know, like dummy drum, something like that. And then I don't have to worry about these MIDI notes being overlapped and me losing what I've already done, because I almost did that. So I want you to watch the drum machine down here. You know, that sounded like shit, but got good around here. Let's see what that sounds like. Boy. I shouldn't do that. I guess you have this MIDI track too. You know, it's probably smarter to use the MIDI track. I'm late for work. And the resampling sounds pretty cool. No processing on that. Oh, shoot. One more thing that I have to show you. So I'll play all the original lines. We'll take these down here. I had this side chain set up to the kick, and I was like, what if I side chain the gate? And I ended up setting up, then I ended up setting up this button. So what if I let this come in? Too much, but you get it. What if I turn that gate on too? Yeah, that's cool. I like that. That has potential. I wonder, oh, you could sidechain one bass to another. I'm late for work. stupid. So stupid. Okay. That covers everything I wanted to go through though. Just keep the samples in key and trust the process. And when you're trying to arrange after you have the first bass line, just remember chunking and choking. All right, that's it, everyone. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Go on my Patreon. I'll have this file up there for you. I'll take the vocal samples out though. I think some of these are from Loopmaster. This one's from Zelda. If you like it, this is from the Minish Cap. It's one of my favorite samples. It's a good laugh.